All right, this
Um,
is Tell the Truth Sports Radio Show, the Super Bowl recap. I have Super Bowl hero Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. Perfect guy to have for this show because he was an underdog going up against a high-powered beat a high-powered offense. So this man can relate. You can relate to what's going on. And when I give you this call, it's up. The kick is up. And it's good. There will be no three-peat, and the Giants are going to Tampa instead of the Niners. How did that feel when you were on the field?
yeah, man, I got to tell you, it was, if not more exciting than the Super Bowl, because you got to think your dream is coming true that you're going to a Super Bowl, and to do it down there under the odds that we were facing, like nobody giving us a chance, and they were trying to three-peat, and they beat us in the regular season, and I tell you, it was easily the most exciting game of my whole career. Even though we didn't put up a lot of numbers statistically, but it was a total team effort, and when we got that victory, it felt so sweet, man.
Speaking about not putting up a lot of numbers statistically, Tom Brady and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers destroyed the Chiefs, and he didn't. He threw for 220 for 2 touchdowns, I believe, and what he did was smart is he just got away with the Chiefs playing stupid. He just didn't make any dumb mistakes. So I respect that in another way too. Demand your game and let the other team implode. Get out of the way, do what you got to do, and they did what they had to do.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was going for the Chiefs all the way. And I was talking to my boy Otis Anderson, and we were so disappointed they didn't make the halftime adjustment that we felt they
None.
should have made. And I always tell people that to win a Super Bowl, if you have a outstanding defense and a quarterback that won't turn the ball over a
Mm.
lot and a great running game, that's a recipe for success. I don't care what game you're playing in. And that's what they did. They made the Chiefs stuck with their I mean, it's simple math, guys. And Tony Romo brought it out to everybody. He said, look, you got four people covering two on Tyreek, two on Kelsey. That means somebody else, you could use those two guys as clearing routes, have somebody come back to the zone. They just vacated. I would have put all the pressure on those other receivers. Look, in order for us to win this game, you guys got to win the one-on-one matchups.
You know what hurt them? And we're going to bring this up in your life and what happened with Buffalo. Impatience. They could have went to
Mm.
Hartman underneath. They could have went to their other receiver Robinson underneath, ran the ball a little more, take a little more time, move the ball that way. Then that would have opened it up. But they just wanted to stay with what they did, and they got burned. And I'm going to tell you something else. I want you to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
The chickens came home to roost. They were behind in the Texan game. They were behind in the Tennessee game last year. They were behind in the Super Bowl late. They were behind against Buffalo. Buffalo came out strong. They were behind against Brady. This is not Garofalo. You were not coming back. When it was 14-3, I thought the game was over. The way it was playing, I started thinking about March Madness, my March Madness shows. That's how bad it was.
No, I hear you, man. And my brother's a big Chiefs fan, and he follows them all the time. And he brought up what you just mentioned. They always start off slow, and then they figure they're in the game. Because I remember distinctly that last game last year, the championship game, everybody was dropping passes, man. And
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes, I think, made a great run and threw it to Kelsey. He got like a 2-yard touchdown. Then everybody woke up. And like you said, in a game of this magnitude, playing against, we got to call him the GOAT now.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do this. And, you know, to Mahomes' credit, he really played his behind off. He tried to make plays, and I was a little disappointed in, Tyreek Hill. Don't get me wrong, you can't catch everything, but man, that ball to hit him right in the face mask. I don't care if you are double coverage. We all know as receivers,
The
anybody can
drop
make the
that
easy
Kelsey
catch.
had ruined the game because
Oh,
they had stopped them. It was 7-3, and if he catches it, they could score, and the momentum changes. Tampa comes back and scores. That was it.
momentum. You hit it right on the head, man. And I looked at that play closely too. The guy was draped all around his ankles, so maybe that threw his catching off. But no, he's made that catch 1,000 times, and you got to make it in a game like that because you're right. Momentum. Who knows what the game would have turned out if that drive is still alive? But when it got zapped and the guy started running the ball on him like that, I was like, it's a wrap.
Yeah, and you know what? Kudos to the running game that everybody says,
Absolutely.
well, we don't need the running game. Otis Anderson probably liked Fournette and Ronald Jones with that power running. And that was the key. And the Chiefs didn't have that, and they paid for that.
Yes, you keep pounding people, and you saw he eventually pounded them enough where he got that long run. And I remember our game in the championship game. They showed Ronnie. We watched the film. Ronnie Lott was coming up in the first half, meeting Otis in the hole, head up. In the third and fourth quarter, he was coming up there chopping his feet. So that's something to pay attention to, man. They don't want no more of it after a while.
See, that's why I like having you on, because you were in the field. You understand the intricacies of what goes on during the game. Now, they win, and we talk about the GOAT. To me, I understand he got 7 rings. I think there's 4 GOATs in the NFL annals. Jim Brown, Jerry Rice, Tom Brady, and the next guy I need you to talk about, because they all did more with less, and was LT. I put him as the 4th. I don't care about the rings. I look about the impact. All 4 of those guys had huge impacts. And he resurrected the Giants, because 80, they were terrible. 81, they went to the playoffs. And from there, all throughout his career, they were a playoff team with the team you're on, which we're going to talk about. So you talk about LT first, and we're going to get into the 90 year 1990.
Okay, well, I was a Cowboy fan as a kid, so I didn't really follow the Giants, and my only knowledge of the Giants was like, wow, they play in New York, the Big Apple in New York City, 42nd Street. So I was a diehard Cowboy fan, and but when I got drafted by the Giants and saw his impact, of course, I've seen him play when I was in college, and to know that I was going to be one of his teammates was like such an honor, man. And
wow.
I always say what John Madden always says about LT. He said he's the only guy that can change the outcome of a game from the defensive side of the ball. And I remember it's one game that's all over the internet where he actually took control of the game. It was against the I think the Detroit Lions. It's on YouTube. He actually took control of the game. I'm talking about 3 drives. He intercepted one, took it back, sacked the quarterback on one. It was just, he's the only guy that you could do that back in the day, because that position was normally known for the middle linebackers, Jack Lambert and all those guys. And nobody even thought of outside linebackers. It was just an afterthought. And for him to be able to catch the toss from the backside when the offensive coordinators are making a game plan, they don't even account for him, because it's like, okay, there's no way this guy's going to get here and make the play. So it was an honor.
I want you, whenever you call him at any time during the rest of the year, ask him. This reporter, Ron Fitch, wanted to know, did you ever catch up with Mickey Schuler? Because he's like, Mickey Schuler, if I ever catch you, I'm going to beat you behind. That is on NFL films. Every year they show that.
Yeah, I love that clip too. And another one when he tell him, look, man, y'all going to have to do better than this.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
But the 1990 season, and you're having a great year. You were undefeated. You're playing really well. I thought about a couple of games. The Redskin game was a big rivalry game. You had that catch and run. And that was the first time I realized your speed, because I'm watching and I'm looking at Darryl Green, who hawked down Jerry Rice, who hawked down Eric Dickerson, who hawked down Tony Dorsett, when Tony Dorsett looked around like, wait a minute, what happened? He didn't get you.
Yeah. Hey, but don't think I didn't know he was coming, man. When you break out, and I always tell people, I won't brag about myself, but I was pretty quick. But whenever you have a breakout run like that, you cannot run fast enough, if that makes any sense, because you're trying to run as fast as you can, and it don't seem like it's fast enough. So I didn't feel like I was running fast, and that's why I just threw my head back and just went old school and just said, I'm keeping my head forward. I'm not going to look back. And that same game, Maurice Carthon got caught, his longest run, pass of the year, 44 yards or something. He turned around looking back. Mark Bavaro got drugged down, and I saw what they did, and I said, I'm not even going to look back. And sure enough, I'm glad I didn't, because the last 5 yards, Mr. Green was closing, man, but luckily the field ran out.
Wow, that was cool. And then also the Phoenix game with the comeback and that catch. How did you make that catch? Because the ball looked like it was going to slip out of your hands, and it would have been reviewed now, but it was a catch. How did you make that catch?
Well, I really wanted it for one. Mark, Dave Megan and I, when we were down by 10, we saw the people starting to leave, the fans. And we're like, man, look at these guys leaving. This game is far from over. So on that play, when they called it, it was I knew I was getting it backside X, the same play I scored on the Super Bowl. And I said, I'm telling you, I planted so hard, I sprained my ankle a little bit when I came out the break, and then I just accelerated. And I tell you, Jeff Hostetler put that ball right on the money, and like it wasn't pitch perfect catch, but I always tell receivers, put those elbows together. You can catch anything. I even do it with little kids. I say, close your eyes with your elbows closed, and just do this, and you'll catch it. And that's what I did on that play because you can see my thigh comes up and put it up in my chest as well. So it wasn't an easy catch, but you know what? When my team needed me, man, I always tried to be there, bro.
Well, shoot, you earned the name touchdown maker. You earned that for a reason. So now we get into your hated rival, because I asked you about who rival you hated, and it's the elephant in the room, them doggone Eagles, them trash talking, mouthy from their coach Eagles. That now the Cowboys, the Redskins, and Giants all won at the time, and the Eagles didn't. I always thought those were the best teams I ever saw. Didn't win anything. And they were really good.
Yeah, man. The Eagles were our biggest rivalry without a doubt, with Randall Cunningham and his scrambling ability, and we always would go down there, and they hated us, man. Their fans even hated us. And as I was a rookie, I remember them throwing 9-volt batteries hitting us in the helmet, and it resonated so loud. And that would be such an issue today if they did that. But back then it was accepted, and we would go down there. It always felt good when we beat them down there. But we had to bring our A game because they would come after us, and the crowd was really raunchy. But you love that as a player when you shut them up and get it quiet in there.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling.
But you know what? That was the one game nothing went right. Remember, the ball bounced off, I think, the helmet or something, and then Barnett, one of the Eagles receivers, catches it. Calvin Williams or Barnett caught it for a touchdown. Yes. And it was just out their day, and they were mouthing off, and they were running their mouth, and they ended up getting beat by the Redskins because it was the body bag bowl, and they were rubbing it in on Monday night, and the Skins were waiting for them in the playoffs, and they got beat. But now let's talk about the revenge tour. The Bears, the We Are the Bears shuffling crew came into the Giants Stadium in 1990, and you whooped them pretty bad, and you scored a touchdown in that game.
Yeah, man, the Bears were, the Bears, and, beating that great team with Mike Dicker and everything, and knowing that he was game planning to try to stop me. And we called a play down in the red area there, the same play that I scored on against the Cardinals and in the Super Bowl, that backside X flag. And I tell you, that was probably my best catch ever, because I did everything perfect, because he threw the ball right over the outside shoulder. And people don't realize that is a tough catch, because you only got from here to really concentrate on that, and then chatter your feet and stay in bounds. And it just went like clockwork, man. It was such a pretty pass. I said, I can't drop this, man. And of course, it was my first playoff touchdown. Threw the ball in the stands. Yep.
And I love how they were mic'd up, and Parcells looks at Banks and Taylor, said, nobody thinks we're going to win that game going to Frisco, but he packed up one time he packed his bags for Tampa, going to Frisco, saying, we're going right to Tampa. We're going to win this game. And you were the team that always kind of gave the Niners trouble from 85 on. It seemed like Belichick and Parcells kind of figured Montana and those guys out pretty well, where it's going to be a low-scoring game. And during that game, and I'll let you break the game down, it was a giant pace. It wasn't up and down like the Niners, like they love to do, Rice and Taylor and Rathman and Roger Craig doing what they're doing. It was a giant kind of game.
Yeah, it was actually a bend but don't break game for our defense. And offensively, we just wanted to control the ball, and then at the end have that strong running game at the end. But we all know, and everybody knows, our whole team philosophy was predicated on our defense, man. And that defense kept us in the game, even though we only got field goals. And one interesting play in there was when Dave Meggett threw the ball to Maurice Carthon in the back.
Oh, my goodness.
I got to tell you, man, to this day, and I've said this before, that was the prettiest spiral I think I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
And when he dropped that, and, we're like, man, that game was so tight. That could have came back to haunt us. But we got all field goals, and what I love about that game, we were a team. And that last drive, when they completed the ball to Rathman, I believe, when Steve Young came in,
Yeah.
they got to the 50-yard line. I said, okay, this game is probably over, man, because they had a high-powered offense, and all they had to do was get a first down. However, when Eric Howard slanted in and put his helmet on the ball, and it was fitting that the greatest player in the
LT.
NFL, LT, recovers it. I can't tell you the chills that you get as a player. Mark Ingram looked at me and said, Bake, look, man, it's up to us. And I gave him a pound back, and I was like, let's do it. And we went out. Mark caught a ball on that drive. Mark Bavaro did. And then I caught the last one, a deep comeback. And then we centered it with OJ. And then Matt Barr came on there and put that ball through there, man. And I tell you, it was like, it was unbelievable that you're going to the Super Bowl.
You beat the team trying to three-peat. You're going to Super Bowl playing a team that me after a 51-3 win over the Raiders, many people thought that was unbeatable, including the Bills. And I thought the Bills parallel with the Chiefs a little. The score is different, but I hear the players saying, no, I think we kind of took the Giants for granted. We just looked at them and I thought we could beat them. And I thought that was the way what happened with KC, and you guys came into that game. But I'm going to tell you, remember we're talking about catching and dropping passes?
Yeah.
12-3. You guys are driving down 12-3. You make the touchdown catch. What if that was Kelsey situation where you drop it, you don't win the game? Explain the pattern that you use.
Like I mentioned earlier, it was a post corner route. And if we get man coverage, I'm getting the ball. And the little tip was when I watched the two linebackers, they were in the A gaps. They about to blitz, and the corner goes inside technique. I said, okay, it's man. So all I have to do is go get Odom's head up. So I run into him and get him head up. Once I have him head up on me, I fake 3 steps to the post. Unlike some of these kids, they just take 1 step and round it out. No, I took 3 to the post, put my hands up like this. Hostetler fake pumped it. He bites on it. I come out the break. The ball has to be in the air before I turn around. And sure enough, it was. And I actually thought about it afterwards. I was like, how did Jackie Smith drop that pass in the end zone for the Cowboys when I was a Cowboy fan against the Steelers?
Well, I'm glad he did because I'm a Steelers fan.
See, I was a Cowboy fan. I'm like, but there's no way I was going to drop that, man. I didn't try to do everything perfect. You see the play, I just cradled that ball like a baby. I didn't think about it. Everything that I've done I said, I'm going to jump like I always do for every ball. I've been told all my career, don't jump for the ball. No, I did with what got me there. It was just a regular catch afterwards, man. I was like, yes, now we got to win the game.
Then it's a time of possession. You took another long drive. You score. Buffalo scores back. You get a field goal. Buffalo has the ball. Well, actually, before Buffalo gets the ball, you guys drove for the game-winning field goal. You made some big plays. There's some big plays. You and Ingram had some money plays in that game.
Yeah, Ingram actually had more catches and arguably the best catch in Super Bowl history. Come on, man. I was just a fan watching him run that play. I was like, go, Ingy, go, because it was all him, man. He broke about 4 tackles on that play, 3rd and long, and it just kept the drive alive. And I'm sure that was a instrumental play that probably they really think about, the Buffalo Bills.
They do.
That was, because that was, if they stop us there, man, who knows what happens.
Yeah, so now they get the ball back down to they're driving. I felt like in the 90s, kickers didn't have that kind of range, especially on grass. When he lined up, I said, he's not going to make this. Kickers they didn't get close enough. It was unfortunate for him because if it's close, he probably makes it. He's a good kicker, but it was too far out. I think he overcompensated, and it went wide right. When it went wide right, what was your reaction?
Well, I was I couldn't even watch it because I'm like, okay, here it is. What I dream of doing is it comes down to this guy kicking the ball. So I just turned my back to the play. I lined up where he was so I could hear the ball being kicked. And there's a moment before that ball is kicked where that stadium is completely quiet. All you hear is the ball being kicked. And then I looked out of the corner of my eye and saw one of my teammates jump. And he was about as high as my head. And I just assumed, I said, he didn't jump that high because we lost. So I just ran on the field. And of course, I saw everybody and, jumping up and down. And some reporter came up to me and said, no, you guys just won a Super Bowl. How does it feel? And the only thing I could think of was my favorite movie as a kid was the Rocky movie. How he overcame all this adversity and won. He didn't win his first fight, but the story of Rocky and the music. And that's what I actually told him, because that's what it felt like. Nobody gave us a chance in that game. And we pulled it out. It was
Wow.
awesome.
Now, how would you be? You're a Super Bowl champ now, which is awesome. How would you be in this kind of offense in this era, 2020, where you don't get hit? Like, how was it when you got hit by Ronnie Lott?
Wow.
Because they don't have Ronnie Lotts out here get you where you're going to get hit.
Yeah, no, he was definitely a man to be feared. And uh, us as receivers, we always said, as long as we know where he is, we're okay. And he actually caught me one time on a Monday night game. I was running a deep in cut route, which is like 16 yards and across the middle. And if I take more than 3 steps coming in, the ball should be thrown to the backside post because that means the safety is cheating up. So Sims is just patting the ball, and I done took about 4 steps in, and then he releases it. So you ever heard the term, okay, catch it and brace for impact?
I can
And
imagine.
yeah, and being little, 5'8", if I didn't make an attempt and go for balls like that, I wouldn't be playing in the league because that was always a knock against you. But I caught it, and I had a what they call a business decision to make. Do I drop my shoulder and try to run him over? No, he might break my neck or my shoulder. So I jumped up in the air as soon as I caught it and turned sideways, and he caught my hip, and I spun around, and I landed on my keister, and I jumped right back up before he even got up to let him know that
Wow.
it didn't hurt. But that was close as Ronnie Lott ever got to me.
Wow, that's great. Now, in this 2020, you could have been Tyreek Hill because everybody's putting up the numbers. You're not getting hit. You're able to get down the field now. How would you fare? I mean, it could. Whew.
Well, I would say this: it would be like cheating now. I always thought it was like cheating when I was playing. I'm not even lying. Somebody backing up and I'm running at you on artificial turf where the ground is. So it just felt like cheating sometimes. However, now they can't even touch you. You don't even have to
Yeah.
worry about getting your bail run coming across the middle. I can't tell you some of the acrobatic catches I would probably be making now without knowing that. I would do it anyway when the rules were back the way they were. But even now, oh, come on, no. I would have a field day.
Now, finally, I wanted you to give advice before we in the interview. I know there's some young receivers you want to give advice to who are out there. Who I know one guy. His name is Christian. He runs a 4.2 in the 40,
Jesus.
and he's an expiring guy who wants to go to college and play. And there's a lot of them out there. What's your advice for players like that?
Well, you see this picture right here behind me? Look, notice my hands are away from my body. That's my best advice I can give to him. You already got the speed, man. You need to catch the ball away from your body. If you want to watch somebody, watch Larry Fitzgerald. And please take note of his class too. You don't see him doing this, dropping the ball when he get a first down and all that stuff. Act like you've been there before. And I would also say do a ball drill with a jugs machine where they ramp it up really high and the coach says, okay, ball, and you turn around and you got to locate the ball coming at you at a high rate of speed and coming back to it. If you practice those drills, that and over the shoulder catch are very important because everybody can catch, but everybody can't catch that ball when it's directly over your head and you got to reach out for it. That's where they ultimately separate the men from the boys from making a team, an NFL team, and not making an NFL team. And lastly, special teams, man. The more you can do, because there could be a receiver just as good. You guys are tied. Hey, but this guy can run down on punts and knock the what out of people, or this guy can return punts or kickoffs. So the more you can do, you give yourself a better chance of making it in the big leagues and also in college.
Thank you very much. You are the man. We're going to do this again next year. We're going to have a lot of fun with, we want to do an NFL veterans segment. So we're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot more of the touchdown maker. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, man.
Great job by Stephen Baker. I'm going to end the show by looking toward next year because after this show, I'm going to be working on my March Madness shows. I'm going to do a couple of Black History shows for February. And then March is all about March Madness, maybe some boxing shows before March Madness. But to finish off the NFL, I think Kansas City, they're going to take a step back next year. I think the book is out on how to deal with them. There was this guy that said, oh, there's a blip on screen. It's not a blip on screen. You get blown out in the Super Bowl, you put all your heart blood, sweat, and tears into one year and get blown out, and then think you're going to come back the next year, everybody healthy. It doesn't work that way. Super Bowl losers suffered horrible hangovers. Super Bowl winners suffer hangovers, but there's an aura of confidence thinking, okay, if we play right, we know we've done this before. Kansas City getting beat, they won, of course, last year, but the way they got beat and exposed, they could, Mahomes might have a couple Super Bowl wins in him, but next year, I think you got the AFC North teams that are good. Buffalo's coming up there. Buffalo could be the team. Miami, San Diego's going to come up. San Diego and Oakland, they're going to start beating Kansas City, Denver. So Kansas City's going to start suffering losses. And then when that happens, you're either a wild card or you don't make it. And that's where you get clipped because now you're not home. And then hopefully there'll be fans next year. In the NFC, of course, Tampa will be solid because they're still good. The Rams are going to Super Bowl next year. That's my pick. Watch out. I'm telling you.